You are about to hear the delusional ramblings of a self-proclaimed Mario Party superfan. You see, back in the early 2010s when I'd browse the internet looking for the public's opinion on Mario Party games, what I saw was that Mario Party 4 was the most popular game. And by a landslide. I didn't agree with it, I couldn't comprehend it, really it's just an out-of-pocket opinion shared by the masses. But since then, Mario Party 4 has aged very poorly. Whenever I see this game being discussed today, it's because Mario Party 4 has the best minigames in the series, and that everything else has lost its shimmer. Now where do I stand on this discourse? Well, that's what this video's about. I'll start by revealing a bias I have against Mario Party 4. It jumped me on the streets. I got my Gamecube very late into its life, in the winter of 2005, so all 4 Mario Parties on the console were already available. And of them, Mario Party 4 was the one I got to play last. It's an interesting position, as I'm sure most people worked their way up chronologically, and since Mario Party 4 was the series' leap forward onto new hardware, the game has a ton of sentimental value compared to its sequels. So needless to say, I didn't have that bond with Mario Party 4, so the fanfare the game received confused me. But cutting the emotions, Mario Party 4 has a niche against its GameCube competition, and that's because after this game, the rules of Mario Party are going to change. So 4 is the only classic era game on the console, and all that really means is that items have different mechanics. But just to take a step back and compare this era of games, I feel like 4 has an identity crisis. For a long time, I've considered this game as a Mario Party 3.5, because despite its efforts to improve the series, the game feels rushed and underdeveloped. And my biggest reason for this claim is with its presentation. Just like in 3, the story starts with the Mario crew gathering outside Peach's castle, but instead of encountering the reality-twisting Millennium Star, they are met with a suspicious white cubular vehicle that abducts everyone. Hosting this party is the staff of the previous games, and that's a fun idea. Mario Party 1 focused on the playable characters, and a generation later, the torch is passed down to the working class. Toad gets to renew his contract, but here he's joined by Koopa the banker, Goomba the battle director, Boo the pickpocket, and Shy Guy the elite gamer. The rules are a departure from 3, returning to Mario Party 2's format of the host explaining the rules and selling stars, but at least they get their own boards, and I gotta compare these to Mario Party 1's maps, which thematically represented each character besides Luigi. But this game doesn't really do that. Boo has a Haunted Mansion board. Okay, cool. Easiest map to design. Goomba, Casino. I mean, my top 3 things to associate Goombas with are vehicular manslaughter, poop, and the overthrowing of Benito Mussolini, but gambling's top 30. Why isn't this Shy Guy's board? That was literally his deal. But instead, his board is jungle themed. Koopa's is at a beach, which only gets a buy because Mario Kart 64 exists, and Toad has 6 flags. The story is really simple. Whoever you play as, it's their birthday. Thanks for just killing all continuity. You gotta win game boards to earn presents from the hosts, and somehow I've completed this 4 times, alright? That's experience. You can't refute any of the criticisms I'm about to make. I'm certified at the advanced level, fam. The format is pretty similar to Mario Party 3. Win the board, do a duel, get a chair. The difference is that there really aren't any cutscenes, which were the highlight, and duel mode is dead, so you'll just play a duel minigame. They're giving me nothing to work with. Well, I found the ending kind of funny, but only because I picked Peach. As you could probably guess, Bowser and Koopa Kid have the final board, and the duel is a whole-ass final boss fight. And we even get a present from the big guy.
Oh.
Is it too late to ask for a gift card? There's one more cutscene to tie things up, and it's a present from the star, which has randomly decided it wants to be a character now, and it gives us a constellation. Before we get into the boards, let's go over some rule changes. The biggest one for me are the items. Looking back at Mario Party 3, that game had a huge selection of items that invited all sorts of strategies. What if they disappeared? Check this out. No mushroom, no skeleton key, no plunder chest, no cellular shopper, no warp block, no Hoosker do's, no Hoosker don'ts, no Nipsey Daisiers with or without the scooter stick. Really, there's just no fun allowed. Most of the new items are reskin versions of the ones God took back. So Lucky Lamp is replaced with the Chomp Call, and Boo Repellent is now the Gadlight. Some items get their mechanics altered too, like the warp block is now a warp pipe, but it uses a roulette to determine its target, and the barter box is called a swap card, and you guessed it, there's a roulette. I feel like these items do their darndest to encourage you not to buy them. Like, I hope you enjoy magic lamps and Boo's crystal ball, because that's the new meta. Mario Party 4 has a gimmick, mini and mega mushrooms. The entire game has been reconstructed to appease these two, and it is a fiasco. Item spaces no longer have mini games or philosophical questions. Pick a box, get a shroom. Going mega is essentially like using a red mushroom, but if you pass other players, you'll steal 10 of their coins. But with great power comes great responsibility, because when you're a big decrepit looking goblin, nobody wants to talk to you. You can't buy stars, you can't use shops, you have to take calculated risks with this item, weigh the odds of overshooting your destination. It complicates the game, but instead of making me applaud the strategy, I'm wishing for a regular mushroom instead. And then the mini mushroom is the definition of useless. Let's start with the fact that skeleton keys died for this. Boards no longer have doors, but a couple orange pipes that guys under 5'6" can fit inside. The difference is that you can't use a mushroom at the pipe, so that means it fucking sucks. It only rolls up to 5, so if you're 3 spaces away, you have a 40% chance of not getting to use the pipe and wasting your turn. How do you think it feels to be 6 spaces away? I was trying to figure out the overall probability you'll have to successfully use a pipe, and adding every permutation of dice rolls that can occur to get into the 5-space zone and then using the mini die once you're in there, I think it's a 30% chance to succeed. Which is terrible! If you're wondering why you'd even want to use the pipe, the answer is you don't. Chance time is locked behind them, and so is Boo on a few maps. The real pain is when a star spawns behind one, which typically stalls the game until somebody purchases a chomp call or magic lamp. And we're not even done with the mini mush, because each board has 2 areas where you can play a micro game, but only if you're small. One has items, and the other has coins, but I would never recommend wasting a turn to play these unless you're at the space directly in front of one. Ultimately, I would have preferred the cursed mushroom, since it can be used on other players. There's a hammer item that kind of serves this purpose. It can turn another player big or small, and I can see a lot of potential with this. Make someone big so they can't buy a star or interact with a gimmick, or shrink them to slow their pace. If you really want to be that guy, you can carry 3 of them to block someone from using items for 3 turns. But the more I thought about it, the chomp call does most of what the hammer can, but without a roulette to fumble. And there's another item that plays around with the mushrooms, the Sparky sticker. Place it on the ground, and the next person to pass it loses 10 coins. And if they're using a mushroom, the sticker nullifies it. I can't recommend it though, because they cost 15 coins at the shop and are useful in very specific but very unlikely situations. There's also supersized versions of the mini and mega shrooms that add another die, and then the really rare Bowser soup, which steals 30 coins but only rolls 1 die. And that's every item. Without a doubt, this is a massive downgrade from 3. That game's meta was fluid because so many items had the ability to threaten other players. But in 4, I feel like a lot of items punish you for using them, which results in a more toxic experience. I also noticed that the mushrooms make computer players act really stupid. Like, they would rather use a mini mushroom to roll a 1 if it meant getting a mega mushroom instead of actually using their turn wisely. Stuff like this happens enough for it to be noteworthy, so be warned, this is one of the easier Mario parties to play alone. Returning to changes and additions, banks are gone, which I'm mixed on because losing them takes away a minute hurdle to strategize around. But in their place is the lottery, which gives players the opportunity to gamble 5 coins for a super mushroom or more coins. You also receive a lottery ticket the first time you visit, which may win a star during the final 5 turns, but I've never witnessed it. Bowser minigames return for the first time since Mario Party 1, and they are incredibly rare. I played 14 boards for this video and only got 3. Chance time's been nerfed for this pachinko machine to determine trades. There's a warp space now, which launches whoever landed on it to another player. If you land on a battle space, you get to choose the minigame, which may provide a slight advantage. Occasionally, minigames become lucky, which doubles or triples the reward, and I alluded to these before, but item, duel, and game guy minigames are gone, which obviously affects gameplay. Want a bold opinion? Mario Party 4 has the series' worst game boards. I thought 3's were pretty bad because the majority of them have gimmicks that prevent you from going where you want to go, but 4 decided to crank that shit up. Want to play a 20-turn game and lose on the first roll? Some maps let you do that. That's the level of fuckery we've entered. Boards have gimmicks that feel more like traps, like you're Sisyphus pushing a boulder uphill only for it to inevitably tumble down. Maybe it sounds fun if you're into the cruelness of Mario Party 1, but I find these to be irredeemably irritating. And what better board to start with than Toad's Midway Madness? Immediately, this map goes for debauchery. It has these teacup rights that alternate where players are dropped off, and on the first one, the even numbered position exists solely as a walk of shame. So every game, one player will have to run around the corner 2 times before they can actually participate. That's a 33 space penalty, which can be a huge deficit to overcome. During my playthrough of the story, Donkey Kong ran around here 4 times, left for 2 turns to buy a magic lamp, and then warped back to the death loop on his next turn. So he spent the entire game in the bottom right corner. The other teacup isn't as bad, but it controls a shop and Boo, which can be pretty pivotal. If there's something positive about this gimmick, it's that the mushrooms take advantage of it. If you want to reach the cups sooner, a Mega Mushroom will do the job. And if you're next to someone and the cups aren't going the right way, the Mini Mushroom is especially helpful. That being said, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Without those, this would have been a great board. The layout's nice, and the map's other gimmick is fantastic. Dividing the board is a roller coaster, and happening spaces on its track can send anybody on it to the left or right side, so you can even ride it to earn some coins. It just sucks that one person is going to have a bad time unless they get lucky enough to land on the warp space in the death loop. Another board with an offensively bad gimmick is Koopa's Seaside Soiree. This map has a pretty unique design, starting with a linear path along the center, ending in a split that forces players to the left or right halves, but where it loses steam is when you hit the walls, where the banana junctions lie. Here, the game decides where you'll go, and if it picks wrong, you may be walking a 30-space detour, or even worse, getting death looped. Since this is Koopa's board, the bank makes an appearance. At the first intersection is a plot of land designated for a resort, and every time it's passed, that player must please deposit 5 coins to upgrade it. And the rules here are devilish. Think of the bank from Bowser Land in Mario Party 2. Whoever lands in a happening space around the resort will have to pay up the pot. A bad roll can change the tide of the game. And speaking of which, when that happens, a big kahuna will knock over the hotel and reset the bank. There's one more thing to mention, and it's the happening spaces over the ocean. These summon dolphins with PhDs to warp you around the map, and depending on the situation, these are excellent shortcuts or devastating gut punches. Get rid of the banana junctions and add more of these, and I think this board could be a blast. Shy Guy's Jungle Jam keeps things simple. It's 2 islands connected by bridges, and the gimmick is that the happening spaces located after them have a 50% chance of flooding the river for up to 3 turns. And the way they do it is so funny. Shy Guy says, "Find God." And Donkey Kong prayed. Even when the bridges are blocked, there isn't a bad side to be on. Left has a tiny loop with a shop that you might be able to finesse into a Boo visit, and the right side could stand alone as its own thing if it really wanted to. There's other means to cross the river, like with an actual raft, or you can fly above it with Klepto. The only complaint I really have about this map is when the star spawns behind the orange pipes. But it could be a lot worse. Boo's Haunted Bash has a cool idea that gets bogged down by its star spawns. Paths will appear and disappear depending on if Pink Boo is around, and anytime someone passes him, they'll switch. Some stars become inaccessible if Pink Boo is gone, but the way the board is designed, bringing him back is usually a bad decision, because talking to him means you're skipping a Boo who can steal coins and stars, and you're also likely making the star available for your opponent instead of yourself. So magic lamps and chomp calls become the only way to keep the game going. One fix that would have improved this map is by making the mystery train at the top optional. When Pink Boo is gone, you're forced to ride this, and it skips locations like the lottery, an opening to Pink Boo, and Big Boo, who makes a return from Mario Party 2. Once again, he steals from everybody at the same time, but he can only be activated if 3 players land on one of 2 happening spaces while Pink Boo is around. He's got this cool Doomsday Clock aesthetic, but you'll probably never see it strike midnight unless you're playing a 50-turn game. All things considered, this is a fine board, but only because both shops are easy to access. But now let's enter hell. Goomba's Greedy Gala is the Taj Mahal of death loops. This is for his island hopping board, but it is extremely restrictive. You start in the bottom right corner where a roulette picks an island for you. It has this mechanic in place where you can pay to buff your odds of landing where the star is. It starts at 5 coins and caps off at 20, and apparently the difference between these 2 values is barely worth going all in, but spending any coins will significantly help you out. And after the game picks an island, you're stuck there forever. You can't return to the roulette. The only way to guarantee escape is to pass Goomba, who challenges you to roll higher than him. Win to stay, lose to leave. God help you if you're in the bottom left corner. Each island has other methods to break out, but they require lucky dice rolls. Bottom left has an orange pipe leading to top left has happening spaces that connect to top right, and then the right half of the board actually connects in a clockwise cycle. Yeah, this is like Mario Party 3's Creepy Cavern on steroids, and what's really got me fucked up is that Goomba's Greedy Gala is this game's most popular board. Quit fucking lying! The prevailing opinion in the fan base is that island hopping boards suck. Like, I'm literally the only person on this planet who enjoys them. Don't tell me with absolute sincerity that Goomba's Greedy Gala is the most popular board and was once the most popular game. Like, I know that sounds like bait, but it's true! And closing out the selection is Bowser's Gnarly Party. So dude, let's talk about the death loop. This board features bridges that switch their destination after 3 people use them. Can you figure out where they fucked it up? Yeah, whoever is the slowest needs to walk around 51 spaces before they can enter the rest of the map. And it gets worse, because by the time the other 3 players finish their first lap around the board, there's a real possibility they'll reach the bridge right after the 1 player reset it, which will lock them out a second time. At least there's a shop here, so you might be able to escape sooner. But this board's not done yet. Bowser's always present, and he won't let you pass him easily. Normally he takes half of your coins, but he responds differently when you're using a mushroom. Shrink and he'll launch you to the center of the map, or grow to fight him in one of 2 minigames, Bowser Wrestling and Panels of Doom. Bowser also likes to minimize everybody every 4 or 5 turns, which wastes the turn and also prevents you from using items. And sprinkled in the corners are happening spaces that will burn an item if you stop on them. And that concludes the game boards. Are these unplayable? No. Was I too rough on them? No. I don't want to undersell how garbage this game is. If you want to play classic Mario Party or a Mario Party on the Gamecube, this is the last game I'd recommend. Anybody, please tell me why this game was the fan favorite for as long as it was. Well, maybe it's the minigames. Like I said, Mario Party 4 is still acclaimed for having one of the best collections in the entire series. And I gotta be real with you guys. This is one of the worst, I promise. If you ask anybody what minigames are worth playing, they'll name drop Booksquirm and Dungeon Duos, and that's it. Like deadass, Mario Party 4 is as popular as it is because people are sucking off these 2 games. And that praise is deserved. Booksquirm is on par with Hexagon Heat as a survival minigame that speeds up the longer it goes, and Dungeon Duos is one of the longest and equally engaging minigames in the entire series. But the rest of 4's selection is really mediocre, and when there's only 43 minigames that can appear during a game board, we get into Mario Party 1 levels of repetition. To highlight some free-for-all games, Domination is the quintessential button masher. It's like Mecha Marathon from Mario Party 2, but you're only tapping the A button, and this time the game tracks how many button presses are made, which makes it fun to replay since it definitively records your skills. 3 Throws cool, it's like Castaways from Mario Party 1, but faster paced and with button controls. But if you're on the inside, you'll get absolutely rinsed. Toad's Quick Draw is great because it combines reaction time, accuracy, and luck all in one game, and I'll give honorable mentions to Mr. Blizzard's Brigade and Avalanche. But now here's some duds. For a limited selection, quite a few games play like each other. Slime Time and Take a Breather are just Domination with a coat of paint, Manta Rings is the baby version of Avalanche, and we can't ignore that all these games are button mashers, which is a genre I enjoy, but there's a noticeable absence of platforming and Toad in the Box. I thought the puzzle games were underwhelming. Bob-on Breakers puts everyone in the same arena, but it's another game where 2 people have a clear disadvantage, and Photo Finish is just too simple. Mario Speedwagons would have been fun if it had more depth than 4 QuickTime events, and no amount of Nintendo history will save Long Claw of the Law from being boring. 2 vs 2 has one of the most neutral collections ever. Like, I don't think these suck, but I'm not in love with them either. I talked about Dungeon Duels already, which is my favorite minigame in Mario Party 4, but I want to explain why it's so good. It mixes button mashing, platforming, observation, luck, and rhythm all in one package that takes a minute and a half to complete. This is one of those games I could play over and over again to try and improve my time on. And for some highlights, Order Up's a great memory game. Reverse-A-Bomb is like the perfect execution of a tug-of-war game. Cheap Sheep Sweep, I think, is super underappreciated. It's slow-paced, tests patience, and being able to guide the fish opens up some moment-to-moment strategy. And Right or Left has some merit the 20th time around. 1 vs 3 has some flops, but that's usually where minigames falter. I don't understand why Hide and Go Boom needs to exist when the same lame concept was in 3. The Team and Fish and Drips will never win. Tree Stomp and Hopper Pop are the same game but with a role reversal, but I feel like these formats are very hard to make without being lopsided. I actually despise Candlelight Flight for that reason, but it's slowly become one of my favorites since. Goal is pretty fun and fair, and then there's Money Belt, which stuffs the 1 player's pockets while the 3 get to share 1 coin. Battle minigames got trimmed down to only having 6 entries, and I've always found it weird that Bowser's Big Blast is here because it's the only minigame from another game, and this is something that will rarely happen again. Still goated though. Trace Race is a great inclusion, but the exact same game is here twice. Like, Paths of Peril has no business existing. It takes less skill, and the minigame is busted. You thought it was luck-based? Take a closer look. And for the other 3, I think they're all whatever. Rumble Fishing is a simpler 3-door Monty from Mario Party 3, Chain Chomp Fever is a less hectic version of Mr. Blizzard's Brigade, and Butterfly Blitz is fine, it just messes with my Animal Crossing muscle memory. And then there's the Bowser minigames, bringing back the genre of free-for-alls where 1 player loses. Darts of Doom has players throwing 3 computer-controlled darts at a target in hopes of not scoring the lowest or getting a bullseye. Balloon of Doom is a good old game of chicken, and Fruits of Doom is brutal. All you have to do is memorize the fruits Bowser asks for. I said before that the story mode includes dual minigames, and I am shocked you can't play these during game boards. Korean Koopas is one of the greatest dual minigames ever. Why is it banned? HiJello Guess is great too, but then there's Luck, and 3D Whack-A-Mole. Closing out Mario Party 4, let's talk about the extra room. It's a brouhaha back here, and it has some single-player games that remind me of a tech demo more than anything. There's games that show off the Gamecube controller's built-in rumble. This one finally lets us kill Toad. If you ever want to prove how good you are at predicting coin flips, they programmed a game for that. I don't know why, but there's a tournament-style volleyball game, and if you're really good, you can unlock every host but Goomba because of his background in vehicular manslaughter. There's an endless bookstore mode, and 2 more game boards are tucked away here with their own rules. These feature the mushrooms, and the maps are designed to maximize their value. What also sets them apart from normal boards is that everybody starts with 100 coins, there's no mini games unless Bowser's feeling generous, no stars, and shops will sell 1 randomly selected item. I've never played a full game on either board until now, and I can confidently say neither of these are fun. Mega Board Mayhem practically plays itself, and Mini Board Mad Dash has the 30% orange pipe mumbo jumbo. Theoretically, shops should make the game more interesting, but I feel like spending any coins with these rules sinks your chances of winning significantly. And the last thing I want to show off is the present room. I don't really have anything to say about them, I just thought you might want to see what they look like. I think this spot is reserved for a 100% reward, and this diorama fills up as you set records and minigames. As far as I know, the game doesn't list what the objectives are, so I've never tried to complete it. And that'll do it for Mario Party 4, the bad apple of the classic era. I genuinely have no idea how this game found itself positioned as the series' fan favorite. Its game boards and items are the worst of the 4, and you have to remember Mario Party 1 doesn't even have items. And when it comes to minigames, I'm not sure about that one either. Like, yeah, there's some gems, but on average, these are pretty mediocre. Why is this game's commercial 100 times better than the actual game?
Mario Party 4. Because it's not a party until something gets broken.
If you've seen my other Mario Party reviews, you might have noticed I never mentioned playing this game with my sister and cousins. And the reason for that is because I didn't think it was worth our limited time to play it. Like, I'm literally gatekeeping Mario Party 4, but despite all the comments I've made, the real reason I don't touch this game is because it's missing something the other entries on the Gamecube have. I'll leave you guys in the dark for now, but it eclipsed everything about Mario Party 4 and became one of the most memorable parts of our childhoods. Mario Party 5 was the beginning of a new era for the franchise, and a contentious one at that. When a game releases sequels annually, it doesn't take long before the formula starts to feel stale. A common sentiment critics shared during this period is how repetitive the series had become, or as we'd say today, Mario Party fell off. And despite this, the Mario Party generator had no intentions of slowing down. We saw Mario Party 4 veer away from improving mechanics in favor of adding gimmicks, and the result was a game that, in my opinion, failed in all its endeavors. And I think Hudson Soft saw that too, because Mario Party 5 reinvented Mario Party. Forget the story and rule changes, the most important thing about Mario Party 5 is how it restructured items, and they went ham on this one. Instead of items, we have capsules. They're fundamentally identical, but capsules have many more features. For starters, you can throw them onto a space, which is an awesome idea. There's a lot of new items that take advantage of this, like you throw a Hammer Bro capsule on the board, and every time someone lands on it, they'll lose 10 coins. Klepto will transport the lander to another player, Podoboo can force someone to pass the star, Mr. Blizzard will murder in cold blood. You can set curse mushrooms in front of other traps to combo into each other. Capsules open up a lot of potential for strategizing, but because of other forces, their inclusion leaves a lot to be desired. They got rid of the shop. You might have been wondering why they put items in capsules. Well, it's because you get them from capsule machines. Every time you pass one, you'll get a random item. That means this is the poker of Mario parties. Oh, you wanted a mushroom to get ahead of your opponent? Best I can do is a monkey. It is so disappointing seeing such a great item system get constrained by luck. In the last 2 games, it was nice having the option to buy a chomp call or warp pipe for a rainy day. But in 5, there's no guarantee you'll get any of the items you want. I was thinking how cool it would be to use the Koopa Bank capsule to siphon people's coins and then whipping out a second one later in the game to collect the pot. But the only way I can entertain that thought is if fate dictates it. Why is it that if I want to steal someone's dog, I have to gamble on like a 15% chance that I get something that allows me to do that, when in the last 3 games, all I had to do was show up? And the other reason capsules are a letdown is because most of them should never be thrown onto the board. Like, yeah, placing a mushroom means you could get more than one use out of it. We're also talking about a 1% chance here, and guess what?
Everyone else has access to it now, you dumbass. So many capsules are inherently powerful, so tossing them into the wild is almost always a bad move. Goomba will trade all your coins with another player, Kamek can shuffle everyone's items, Chain Chomp is a Boo Bell, Wiggler is a Magic Lamp. Why would I ever want to give my opponents the opportunity to use these instead of keeping them for myself? Outside of the 6 random capsules that appear on the board at the start of a game, you really won't see chains of spaces covered in traps unless you're making up rules in support of it, or there's a computer playing the game. You also have to pay to use an item on yourself, which is kinda weird. Like, it's already annoying I can't choose what I want, now I have to pay 5 coins to earn 10. All things considered, the rates aren't that bad, and one of my favorite quirks about it is how you can pay 5 coins to lose half your coins. And here I was thinking Mario Party 4 was a waste of money. I gotta be real, talking about Mario Party 5's items is making me think this game might actually be really frenetic with house rules. Fuck it. Throw your capsules out turn 1, burn the place down. All these mechanics that limit strategy may contrarily make it the most replayable. So for a quick moment, let's cover Mario Party 5's story, which is the series' most complex. It follows the continuity of Paper Mario, so to fully enjoy this game's nuances and themes of poverty and the rise of industry, you'll want to complete a 20-hour RPG. Or watch my review of it. Following that game's ending, the Star Spirits quit guarding the Star Rod in favor of watching people's dreams, and on a particular night, they were seeing a lot of fucked up good dreams where people's teeth fall out, and lonely 20-somethings are living their best life with a harem of anime waifus. So the stars collectively thought, wouldn't it be funny if we showed this to Mario? And that's how we ended up in this interstellar fantasy land. I was just dreaming about the future, and now there's a dinosaur in there stealing stars. Despite not being invited, Bowser breaks in so he can replace people's dreams with his own. I don't know what that accomplishes, but it requires splitting the DNA of Koopa Kid into 3 entities. What? Didn't you know? This is actually how Mario and Luigi were born. Somewhere out there is a blue plumber, and all 3 of them confused together into one Super Mario. The story mode is much more different than the previous games. Instead of playing the game boards until you win, your objective is to beat up the Koopa Kids until they have not 1 coin to their name, which means you're mostly playing the same duel minigames on repeat for 2 hours. In a way, this mode plays like Mario Party 3's duel mode, since you have to pass a Koopa Kid to battle them, and whoever initiates the duel has lower stakes for losing. But the experience is inferior overall, because that's about all the depth there is. I'm not worried about getting attacked, because as long as I win the minigame, I won't lose anything. And capsules can play a role, but they mainly just shuffle items around and give or take away coins. There's a new space present here, and it's Donkey Kong Space. That's right, the ape has retired and will no longer be a playable character. He'll appear on boards to give away prizes and collect bananas, but in this mode, his sole purpose is physical assault. Yeah! Fuck him up! And it wouldn't be a bad time to mention this game's new characters. Toad joins the roster, quitting his gig as host. We also get Boo, which means he's absent on boards too. And one more addition with Koopa Kid Prime. Great choices, mainly because I use Boo and one of my cousins uses Toad. If there's one thing I do like about the story mode, it's the bite-sized game boards. We keep getting these smaller maps dangled in front of us in the tutorials and bonus modes, and it's getting to the point where I want to play around on them. I feel like they have so much potential, especially with the capsules. But returning to the story, every time we beat the Koopa Kids, Bowser hints about having his own dream. And considering that every board has been a dream, it makes sense that Bowser's dream would be a board too. So voila, Bowser's nightmare. But Bowser's like, actually no. My dream is that one day, every person in this kingdom will control their own destiny. I'm making the mother of all omelets here, Waluigi. And then Koopa Kid is like, oh damn. My dream was just a cuddle with you, my lord. No, Bowser won't reveal his true intentions, but he needs Waluigi for it to be possible. A winky face emoji. And then the final boss commences. Frightmare, a 4-phase fight. Like, what? First you have to jump on top of rats, then dodge several rings of fire, and I just want to point out how difficult this phase is. One of my favorite minigame genres is the dodge obstacles in a circular arena game, and Frightmare has made a version so difficult that it took me years to beat. They made it so hard for no reason, and I love it for that. This is followed with a hand-to-hand fight against Bowser where the win condition is to get him to break through the floor like in Super Mario Bros. 3, and in the final phase, Bowser chugs a can of Gamer Girl bathwater which enlarges his body and grants him the power to construct pondering orbs, which we then ponder ourselves for the victory. And that's the story mode. It unlocks Bowser's Nightmare and Frightmare, and if you want to get technical, probably the dual minigames. I can't see myself replaying this ever again, but at least it's more enjoyable than 3 and 4 stories. And if you were wondering what Bowser's actual dream was, he wanted to fight a strong opponent. Really scraping the barrel with Waluigi. So let's talk about some boards. I've already discussed a few of the rule changes like capsules in the Donkey Kong space, but there isn't much else besides those. Most spaces and items that were removed have a capsule counterpart. Like I said, the Koopa Bank is now an item, Boo quit their job and was replaced with the Chain Chomp capsule, the Warp Space was ousted for the Klepto capsule, Chance Time and duels are now through capsules. Like, we lost opportunities in Mario Party 5, but besides the lottery and shops, most things that are missing are still accessible. But there's 2 changes I want to highlight, and the first is the new duel rules. If you're the initiator, you have the option to wager stars, and if you have them, 50 coins can be substituted. The other change is just a quality of life improvement, but starting in this game, when you're at a path split, the arrows will always point to the fastest way to the star. And speaking of stars, during the final 5 turns, there's a small chance 5 stars will be on the map for the remainder of the game. Another potential final 5er will occupy every space with an item, but more often than not, it's triple coins from spaces, or reds turning into Bowsers. A few other changes include battle minigames being random occurrences where everyone votes for the minigame, lucky minigames are gone, and another notable removal are the key doors and orange pipes. And before I could possibly talk about the boards, I need to acknowledge the new design philosophy present in the game as a result of all these cut features. Hell, boards don't even have gimmicks like countdowns and mirage stars in them. It's like the designers wanted every map to be vanilla flavored, but there is some positivity to this new direction, and it's that the boards aren't dookie ass dog shit like in Mario Party 3 and 4. Bowser's dream is real. They gave us back the human right to control our own destiny. I don't have to waste half the game traveling down paths the game forced me into. Positioning is once again a strategy, and I am stoked. And I think this increase in freedom is related to the absence of Boo and doors. Boards don't need to include obligatory shortcuts or a path that's difficult to reach, but they're still structured as if you could, which creates a new problem. Some junctions have paths that you'll never use unless a star is there. If I have the choice to take a path with 7 spaces or a path that leads to the same spot but in 12, I'm gonna pick the 7. I don't care if there's a capsule machine or 1 happening space. You can't make me go up. And it had me thinking that maybe the splits exist to encourage people to throw capsules on the board. Then it forces someone to take the longer path. But here's the problem with that. I'm just going to set the capsule before the junction. If I'm setting a trap, you are not getting an escape route. So enough dawdling around. Let's start with Toy Dream, which is circular in design but has many opportunities to cut corners and complete a shorter circuit. And because of the star spawns, gameplay will revolve around risking staying in the loop or exiting it to reset your position. If you're at the top or bottom and want to switch sides, landing at the train stations will allow you to instantly do that. And sometimes the train may be your only option to the top, because the climb up has happening spaces where toy soldiers will break the floor below your feet, forcing you into a shorter track. If you're looking for a Hail Mary to the next star, a Jack-in-the-Box at the center will randomly launch you anywhere on the map, and in the strangest Super Mario Sunshine cameo on the Gamecube, Mecha Bowser is built onto the board to send you back 15 spaces. Pirate Dream plays pretty similarly, but is weaker overall because of its gimmick. Near the end of the road is a 3-way split where you can either pay 10 coins for a quick way back to start, pay 10 coins for the slowest way back to start, or don't pay at all for the medium's way back to start. Like, they brought back Womp, but he won't even switch sides. What's the point of paying him? Well, if you know you're gonna land on the happening space, then maybe it's a good choice, because the longest road has a 20% chance to send you to the right side of the map. The other happening spaces also share this warping property. Landing at the waterfall will drop you into the ocean, and stopping at the cannon can save you some turns on the way back up. And if you like miners, Monty Mole's recruiting. Undersea Dream is yet another circle, but it's my personal favorite of this format because the circuit is much smaller and there's opportunities to go backwards and stall for a few turns. This is because the map is 2 connected halves like Yoshi's Tropical Island. So if you were ever wondering how that map may play with normal star rules, this is the closest alternative. The only problem is the leftmost trail is long and never justifies a visit. It contains 2 happening spaces, one transports you to the right side of the map, while the other pushes you forward 14 spaces, but but technically only saves you 5. The right side is where the real action happens. Right in the whale flips a coin as it'll place you right in front or right behind the star, and a generous Cheap Cheap here hands out free Balenciagas. Sweet Dream is the real highlight. When Mario Party has a cake map, you know it's gonna deliver. And that's surprising to say because this board uses the breaking bridges from Bowser's Gnarly Party. Except they didn't make it fucking stupid this time. One person goes left, one person goes down, and there's no death loops to speak of. But honestly, you might find it favorable to position yourself in this board's smallest circuit, because it includes a happening space where you can steal a star from everyone for free. That's a big boo with no strings attached, and you can camp it and collect capsules on the side. All you have to do is master the roulette, and this board gets violent. Landing on the other happening spaces will warp you to the bottom left corner, and somehow they found a way to shoehorn a basketball minigame on this map. Oh yeah, they nailed this one. And up next is the obligatory island hopping board, but what's that? They made 2. Rainbow Dream is your standard quadrant hopper, and if you've ever wanted to play the driest version of this theme, here it is. The biggest complaint Wario's Battle Canyon and Mysteryland get is that whether you stay on an island or not is up to chance. Rainbow Dream's gimmick is they got rid of it for all you crybabies. I hope you're happy. Free choice is no longer an illusion, you bastards. Yep. Now we can choose to live on an island. And I know I was just talking up how good stalling is as a strategy, but the reason I like quadrant hoppers is for their chaos. I want my entire game to tank because I got a bad break. I want to be able to skip 2 islands or interact with someone from across the board. And the happening spaces here are such a letdown. One island lets you earn some items, another can give you coins, the second one sends you back to start, and the third one can randomly send you to any island. And then the main way to switch islands is to pay 5 coins, or land on a happening space right after it to save 5 coins. Still better than Mario Party 3 and 4's hoppers. And the other board is a unique case because it has 3 islands this time. Future Dream. That does not look like a withered earth. Future Dream is like Undersea Dream because you can't breathe. Both maps are like a chain. You just keep circling around the center until it's time to make a move to the left or right. But in practice, it's just a relay to each star since there aren't many opportunities to make a pass. Rocket ships fill this map, and boarding the center island spacecrafts will randomly pick a new home for you, while the outer islands have a single vessel and a single stop. So more often than not, you'll be circling around the left or right islands. And of course, there's a red baron to collect some coins and a slot machine to maybe earn a capsule. And closing out the boards is Bowser's Nightmare, which is almost identical to Toy Dream, except all the happening spaces reference previous Bowser boards. Like 2 of them have Bowser take his sweet time strolling across the castle, which changes every space he passes into a red one for a turn as an homage to Bowser's Magma Mountain. Referencing Bowser Land is a happening space that thrusts you into a tiny death loop where the only exit is to land on another happening space, and Bowser's Gnarly Party is succeeded by flamethrowers that burn your capsules and 2 happening spaces that allow Bowser to steal half your coins or send you back to start. And those are the boards. We got 7 this time, and thinking about them critically, they're just a titch on the mediocre side. Not bad, but not the best either. And while I value movement a lot, the absence of shops and banks and boo and board altering gimmicks is very noticeable. This game was designed to reinvigorate the item system and to make every turn be filled with pandemonium and madness. But if you're playing to win, it invalidates most of their efforts. This game has great items, and it has great boards. There just needs to be a few tweaks to incentivize tossing capsules around to get those chaotic outcomes. There's a fun Mario Party here, you just need to go against your best interest to make it that way. The theme with Mario Party 5's boards is that they're collectively good, but aren't the series' best, and I feel like the minigames hold a similar position. Like, I really don't hate that many of them, but compared to the first 4 games, I have to rank these low. But on the bright side, 5 has some great free-for-alls. My personal favorite is Dinger Derby, a reaction timing game that tracks your score and is oh so addicting. Later Skater finally made a top-down racer with smooth controls. Chomp Romp is a blast to speedrun as you gotta chain chomp around a park with only a whistle. Flower Shower is as exciting as how I imagine money booths are. Pushy Penguins is a heart-pounding reimagining of the Last Man Standing genre. Hotel Goomba finally put all my Pokemon Strength puzzle knowledge to good use. Triple Jump is a neat alternative to the button masher, and Leaf tests patience and reaction in a way that's stressful, frustrating, and equally enjoyable. 2 versus 2 is usually a guarantee for fun minigames, but I think it's one of 5's weakest areas. Panic Pinball is great whether or not you're winning, Handy Hoppers turning Jump Rope into a team game was fun to see, Defuse or Lose is a guaranteed conflict starter, and Bust Buffer being an Eats a Pizza spinoff gets the okay for me. But the other half is just like, eh. In Submarathon, you control the eyes of a fish submarine while your teammate does all the work. That about sums up how I feel about the remaining 2v2ers. 1 vs 3 nailed the balance between the teams and its ankle-breaking games. Flatiator and Two But or Lose It both have the one player mowing down their competition, and they each give everyone the right tools for an even fight. And flipped around, Squared Away and Beam Team give the 3 enough disadvantages for a fair time. I always thought Mario Mechs was so cool on an aesthetic level, but what the hell happened with Mathletes? Did you guys try? And for that matter, what was Vicious Vending in the free-for-alls? I know Heatstroke gets a lot of shit as one of the series' worst minigames, and I'm in that boat too. But it's like Mario Party 2's Shock, Drop, and Roll, where once you know how to play, the 3 are unstoppable. Battle minigames disappointed me. I always have to mention how Mario Party 2 set my standards so high, which might sound hypocritical because Random Ride is basically Day at the Races, but without the flair. Lucky Lineup is a second luck game in the set. Bill Blasters and Twist and Out's ability to let players gang up on someone is evil for probably the right reasons, and then Astrological and Tugadori are just too simple for me. Duels made their official return, and I'm miffed by how plain these are. It's pretty obvious that duels weren't a priority, or maybe budget cuts occurred, because they all share the same 3 assets and environments. And for what we get, most of these games are too basic. Like, I'd expect them in Mario Party 2 if that game got more boards. Shy Guy Showdown, Countdown Pound, Head Waiter, Mary Poppins, Pump and Jump, Wind Waivers, Pound Barrel, Womp Maze, Pick a Rope? These are games I'd expect in an entry-level game design class, not the 5th Mario Party, but at the very least, Sky Survivors and Shock Absorbers are fantastic. Bowser minigames come back too, but this time everybody can lose instead of just one player. Scald and Cauldron is a luck game, which sucks for the stakes involved. Rain of Fire is either incredibly easy or you'll have no clue how you lost, and Cajun Cookin' should always be a guaranteed waste of time. And then the new DK minigames are all short micro games where everybody scrambles to collect bananas in a short amount of time to receive coins during the boards. Overall, I can't help but feel a little let down by the minigames. Like I said, the collection is good, but falls short once it gets compared to the Nintendo 64 trilogy. I'll still take this over what we got in 4 because there's so much more variety, but a lasting opinion I have is how safe many minigames are. And it's not just the duels. There's games like which piranha plant is dancing differently, or who can press the Family Feud button quicker. It's a small blemish within the selection, but ultimately I'd be down for some Mario Party 5 minigames if you asked me to play. You know this part, it's extra modes time. And getting this far into the series, each game has consistently provided more additional content to do besides playing game boards and minigames. First to 7 returns, as is tradition, but now there's a few other modes to play random minigames, and one in particular has become a paragon within my gaming experiences. The Decathlon. It pretty much defined my childhood from 2006 to 2010 and really beyond, because it was where most of my time playing video games with my cousins went toward. Yeah, this one mode is responsible for like 99% of my GameCube playtime when I'm with my cousins. It's that fucking good. And it's a simple concept too. Everybody plays 10 mini games that have been altered to track your score and convert them into points, and whoever performs the best with those metrics wins. Literally the most addicting thing ever. And I think what kept it engaging for my sister and cousins too is that the mini games have been programmed so they don't instantly end when someone wins. For the first time, everyone has the opportunity to finish the games, which was especially nice since there was a clear skill gap between myself and everyone else. So me clearing Chomp Drop in 18 seconds doesn't automatically ruin their experience. I love the Decathlon so much that if I could create a small budget video game of my own, it would be modeled after this mode. With the right 10 mini games, a Decathlon could sell itself because the variety and ability to optimize your scores makes it very replayable. When I said 99% of our playtime was devoted to this mode, I mean it. There were days at our grandma's house where we'd spend our entire afternoon playing Decathlon over and over again. And you know what? I'm gonna spoil that Mario Party 6 and 7 have Decathlons too. That's right, this divine gift was shared with mankind 3 times on the GameCube. Forget the capsule era. This is the Decathlon era. Another bonus mode I want to spend a lot of time on is Super Duel Mode. You know how I've been praising Mario Party 3's Duel Mode like it saved my life? Well, this mode's nothing like that. It's BattleBots, baby, and I loved that shit as a kid. This mode lets you build a vehicle out of a variety of parts and weapons, and then you duke it out with other vehicles. I remember spending so much time figuring out how to make a car that optimized function and fashion. Why did I pick a train? I love how goofy the parts are, like wiggler wheels and a Goomba engine. Professor EGAT has some parts, which makes Mario Party 5 the link between Luigi's Mansion and Paper Mario's continuity. And he has created the most sussy gun ever. You fucking freak. It's so weird seeing a mode like this in a Mario Party, since none of the previous games had a random minigame with this much depth that gets its own slot on the main menu. Like, you know how crazy that is? This game has a bonus mode menu, and they decided not to put Super Duel Mode in there. But you know what is in the bonus mode menu? Card Party. You ever want to play Betrayal at the House on the Hill and understand the rules? This is your answer. A square of cards are set with some hiding stars, items, and happening spaces, and your goal is to flip cards over, revealing a path to reach them. Now, I don't want to call this a good mode because there's no mini games, and I find it really boring. But maybe it's a good idea to revisit. Flipping cards is always a gamble because stars and boosts can steal from you, and happening spaces can instantly kill your game. It's both predictable and full of risks. And that's all I've got to say about Mario Party 5. It's a game I've always seen people describe as bad or mediocre, and I can see where they're coming from. Mario Party 5 was a huge pivot for the franchise that breathed new life into the game boards, but also destroyed some of its most important features. The result is a game that was probably terrifying when it released. So terrifying, the game was branded as the beginning of the series' downfall. The good news is, when you hit rock bottom, you can only go up. And Mario Party 6 and 7 will recycle capsules, so there's opportunities to fix 5's issues and improve them. Mario Party 6 is the most popular Mario Party in the online fan base, and that's weird. 6 released during the series' first quote-unquote decline, where most people were getting sick of Mario's parties. If you played one, you played them all, they might say. But as time went on, and more people emulated it, and more Mario Parties released, the public's opinion shifted. The thing is, 6 uses the controversial capsule mechanic from 5. So how did we get here? For a recap on capsules, they're items that can be thrown onto the board in addition to being usable on yourself. It opened up a lot of potential for power plays and chaos, but failed to produce incentives for players to set them on the board. And with its introduction, series staples like Shops, Boo, and Chance Time were removed. Capsules had potential, and with a few adjustments, they could be a great time. So with Mario Party 6 being the most popular game, you already know those issues were resolved. So here's what they did. For starters, capsules are called orbs now, which is great because that's one syllable. Orbs are domesticated. When you throw one, the space becomes yours, which fixes the gamble of throwing self-harming items onto the board because not only are you now immune to your own traps, but you also get 5 coins for landing on it. You'll even receive some cash just for using an orb, and a new bonus store has been created to further incentivize playing them. On top of that, my complaint about capsules losing practicality at junctions was addressed. A whole subset of orbs were created that automatically trigger when someone passes them, which makes these lethal in the right circumstances. If you don't want someone to use a path or are pursuing a particular player, you definitely want to have a red orb in your back pocket. These can stop someone in their place, warp them, drain their coins, really powerful effects. And to keep these things from dominating the metagame, after one use, the space reverts back to its original status. So it's best to save them for when they'll matter most. Additionally, self-serving items like mushrooms can't be thrown anymore, but we did get some newbies like the sluggish shroom, which lets you pick the number you roll, and the metal mushroom, that ignores the effects of orb spaces. Shops are back, but their inventory's been gutted to 3 items at a time. It definitely limits opportunities to strategize, but let's be real here, a game where you can buy any red orb you want is probably toxic. On the bright side, mushrooms are reliably in stock, so if you're just looking for an extra roll, they've got you covered. And even better news is that free orbs make a return, which not only adds more items into play, but it also helps people who suck at minigames from being completely out of contention. Chance Time is back, Boo is technically back. It genuinely feels like Hudson Soft gave Mario Party 5 a thorough look and did everything they could to optimize a Mario Party with orbs. And a couple other new additions to the game include Toadette as a playable character, the dual capsule has been thrown out and turned into a space. Actually, quite a few items like the coin block, cursed mushroom, and Miracle have been retired, with many others having their roles completely changed. But to summarize, they've been rebalanced. Oh, and Mario Party 6 has a gimmick, which takes us to the story. There is no story. The plot is that the sun is obnoxious. Mario and Co are partying with celestial avatars when an intoxicated Brighton, who has a praise kink, asks Twyla if he's better than her. Twyla refuses to feed his ego, so Brighton starts pulling her hair, and then Twyla splashes her Coors Light on him in retaliation, really just killing the vibe. So Mario's brilliant solution to end their feud is to gather all the stars in the universe and invest them on a certificate of deposit. This means collecting 410,000 stars to buy individual pages of a pop-up book. Yeah, that's the only way to salvage this relationship. Every single menu Brighton's like, can't stand her fake ass. Then you buy page 2 and it's me and the bestie. What's the point of this? Nothing, because at the end of the game, they let the stars go. And that's the story. But I did say there's a gimmick. So because Twyla beat the shit out of Brighton, every 3 turns the game switches between day and night. It's the revival of Mario Party 2's Horrorland. Depending on the time, boards transform. Paths open and close, happening spaces switch around, Boo may appear, Donkey Kong and Bowser replace each other in a horrific Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde transition, minigames change, literally the rules of game boards alter depending on the sun's diurnal motion. So there's a lot to cover, and Tower and Treetop's a great place to start, as it's nearly identical in design to Toy Dream from Mario Party 5, but the shops and free orb spaces are relocated, and many paths have been tightened and trimmed. In the center, dandelions can whisk you away to a random location, and Woody and Marukio return to rain gold and debt onto players. Bees will steal your coins if you get too close to their hive, and breaking everyone's spines as a tree sneeze away. At night, paths shrink and grow, and if you're hanging near the canopy, Pink Boo can be paid to haunt the competition. It's a generic board that eases in the gimmick. Not much changes, but having a simple map like this is good for people who want that traditional experience. EGAD's garage goes deep into the professor's basement where unspeakable things happen and sunlight passes through the ceiling. And the map's got a huge focus on orbs. There's 7 free orb spaces, so traps will quickly fill up. And if you've got too many duds, EGAD will trade them out or pay top dollar for everything you've got. Need something to spend all that dough on? Well, come on down to the Calamity Launcher and get yourself more turf. That old bastard's really lost some screws. He's got a fan that steals coins, treadmills that send people back to start, and transporters that'll turn you into Gooigi. Once again, there isn't a massive difference between day and night. A platform in the middle rotates every cycle, adding shortcuts or roundabouts. Nothing groundbreaking, but I often see EGAD's Garage discussed as a top 5 board in the entire series, which I wouldn't rank that high. But I'll concur that the map takes the core Mario Party experience and amplifies it in a way that pulls out Mario Party 6's strengths and offers very few faults. Castaway Bay is the revival of Mario Party 1's Rainbow Castle and much better. It's got shops, boost pushed back, the path split at the end isn't a joke, Bowser steals your stars, there's a lot more at stake. Happening spaces reprise their role of switching the star in and out of play, but now there's a shortcut that skips half of the map. But the caveat is that Bowser can smack you in the gob with a cannonball, which ends your turn. A Goomba Christ figure randomizes players' locations, and during the day, a drug lord hands out shrooms, and Yukiki's there too. Surprisingly, this board isn't too affected by the time of day. The only changes are the shrine and Boo, and maybe you're thinking this day-night gimmick is about as simple as these last 3 boards have made it. But the next 3 maps use time in very unique ways that accentuate the potential of this gimmick. Like, have you ever wondered what would happen if you could buy more than 1 star at a time? The answer is fair square. When it's daytime, Brighton sells stars for $20 a pop. Standard, at peace, and in charge of its own destiny. But at night, Twyla says, "Fuck it, we ball. Fuck it, we ball. Fuck it, we ball. Fuck it, we ball." Dusk rolls over and stars can cost 5 coins, 40 coins, anything goes. 5 for the price of 25. Holy shit. That turns this board into the ultimate hedger. Pay now, save later. How badly do you want to win, and how much will it cost? It kind of reminds me of another party game. But the weird thing about this board is how quickly it trivializes the value of a star. You land on a dual space, and suddenly coins are more important. Koopa Bank returns via slot machine, stars can be gambled in a shell game, everyone can bet a star or coins for a random winner to receive, a magic broom can whisk you right right in front or behind the star, and why not a house that teleports people back to star. This is a map where you can get some meaty outcomes. 30 stars, 50, 100. Dude, you throw chance time into the mix, and fair square is quite possibly the most exciting map in Mario Party history because of its economy. But how about a map with no economy? Snowflake Lake is a completely new format that shares many similarities with Mario Party 3's duel mode. Everybody starts with 5 stars, consider it your health, and instead of having partners, players spend their coins on chain chomps who steal stars from anyone they pass. Being a huge supporter of duel mode, you already know I'm gonna champion Snowflake Lake. I love the added layer of strategy that the chain chomps produce. Every turn you're considering where everybody is, where the chain chomps are, and what time it is when making your move. Will you play chase for that sweet, sweet nectar, or need to take cover? Maybe you have to sacrifice coins using a chain chomp to run away, or need to negotiate a ceasefire when someone's got too many stars, or they're getting a little too cocky with that bone orb in their pants. And what ties it all together is the day-night stuff. When the sun sets, all paths to the center are blocked off, so there's nowhere to hide, and even better, chain chomps are half off and let you buy 3 dice, really hammering down how important it is to think multiple turns in advance. The happening spaces aren't as plentiful here, but a rogue snowball can send players back to start for a turn of immunity, and the titular Snowflake Lake is a popular site for ice skating and snowball fights. And guess what? There's another dual mode map. Clockwork Castle is Backtrack and Pipesqueak's love child with some genes from Castaway Bay. You'll chase Donkey Kong during the day cause he's selling stars, but at night, Bowser takes over and he becomes the player, turning the map around and robbing anybody in his path. So once again, you really need to think each move through. And what allows that even more is the opportunity to use warp pipes to skip half the board for a quick snipe on Donkey or a getaway from Bowser. You can also re-roll the pipes locations if that's your style, or if being a god is more appealing, they got a roulette that yeets the sun out of the sky. UFOs can send players back to start, orbs can be fished from the heavens, you can visit Twyla's freaking airship for stars and coins, or Brighton's shit shack next door. Yeah, they kind of went crazy with this map. So I think it's safe to say that Mario Party 6 has some great boards. There's a variety of rule sets to play with, and none of the maps have a glaring flaw that ruins them. So much power is at the player's hand, and the day-night gimmick adds a lot of extra depth that the series has only really seen with item play. And when you add in the orbs and all the extra touches Hudson Soft did to make them work this time around, it's really easy to see why Mario Party 6 has the prestigious status of fan favorite. So the coolest part about the day-night gimmick for me is that it also affects the minigames. Nearly every minigame in 6 has 2 different versions, and some of them have a rule set for each time. Like in What Goes Up, players are jumping off Paratroopas to be the highest during the day, but at night, they're falling and avoiding the clouds and Koopas. In Conveyor Bolt, one player's attacking the 3 in the day, with the reversal occurring at night. Mullet switches if you're jumping or ground pounding Monties, and Freeze Frame changes where the rare characters spawn. Besides those 4 and a few aesthetic changes here and there, not many minigames play differently depending on the time. Still though, you have to admire the extra mile the devs went implementing this feature when they could have gone away without it. So let's take it into the 4-player games. I think this is a fun selection, especially if you like platforming, because we are eating. What Goes Up is the perfect speedrunner vertical jumper, Daft Rafts is the evolution of platform peril, my favorite minigame by the way, and Circuit Maximus cuts the jumps and lets you run and dodge with the engine's tight controls. Need more 2D action? Lift Leapers is an entire side-scrolling Mario level, and Note to Self is a chaotic arena collecting game. Besides those, Snow World's an awesome take on the button masher, Motown's a free-for-all eats a pizza, Sunday Drivers is the timing game we've been waiting for, Throw Me a Bone is surprisingly competitive, Trappist Artist is a great game nobody likes, Money Belt is a taste of devilish brain age, and Tricky Tires is the best way to make everyone feel stupid. 1 versus 3, fumbled again. Look guys, I'll take Bulldozers and Snowbrawl anytime, but Ray of Fright, Stage Fright, and Creighton Peril are some of the most unfair minigames I've ever seen. And then you play with computers, and Dust Till Dawn and Popstars are unwinnable as the 3, and it's just like, wow, these 1v3s kinda suck. And unfortunately, I feel the same way about the 2v2s. Like, Burn Style is fun, But after that, this might be the weakest set of team games in the series, unless you've got 4 humans, because most of the set has good nail biters like Jump the Gun, Light Breeze, and Clean Team. Slot Trot and Gondola Glide have their merits too, but take my word when I say the AI is particularly disappointing to get paired with in most of these. The good news is, battle minigames have finally reclaimed their S tier status. Hyper Sniper is the best minigame in 6. Control Stick is a fantastic rendition of Shy Guy Says. Strawberry Short Fuse is an exciting memory minigame. Rasslin' Rapids is by far the series' most cinematic deathmatch, and I know everyone hates it, but I love Insector Ride too. Duels also pick up the pace. Cogjog and Full Tilt bring those smooth platforming controls to the table. Light Up My Night and Something's Amiss are really fun because their reliance on searching for visual cues is surprisingly unique. 6 still has very simple concepts like in 5, but the small tweaks to presentation and win condition make these a lot more fun to play and watch. Bowser and DK minigames also feel significantly better. I especially like the recycling of Super Mario Sunshine assets here, and for those oddball minigames that just exist for no reason, Labras is a really good maze generator, and finally, a Mario basketball game in the suburbs. Now, I'm not gonna lie and tell you Mario Party 6 has one of my favorite sets of minigames in the entire series, because those 1v3s and 2v2s are rough. But looking at the ensemble, there's a lot of great games that bring the average up. And if you're someone like me who particularly likes the free-for-alls, this game has a minigame mode you will just love. Treetop Bingo. When I play Mario Party 6 with my cousins, this almost always gets around. It's bingo. Whoever wins a minigame can pick a number off their board. But because of the format, I think this mode works way better than the traditional 1st to 7 type mode, because even if you lose, you may still get rewarded. And when we play, we do 1st to 5 lines wins, which makes the game much more closer and allows nearly every free-for-all game to get played, so it all just works together. I think every Mario Party should have Treetop Bingo. It's the second best minigame mode, right after Decathlon, which is once again perfection. As I've said in 5, getting to play minigames in a mode that scores your performance and allows everyone to complete them is something I would model a video game after myself. I love Decathlon that much, and again, I just have to state that without this mode existing in the Gamecube Mario parties, I'm not sure summer breaks in my grandma's house would have peaked as much as they did. And you have to understand that those summer breaks were fucking heat as it is. Decathlon just brought it from a 10 to an 11. Did you know Mario Party 6 has another gimmick? Yeah, the GameCube microphone, an obscure little accessory. Have you ever felt the button on this thing? Why is it softer than a lamb's ear? So the microphone is very simple. It's not expecting you to read a video game review script or anything stupid like that. Just single words like subscribe, Waluigi, and finish! This thing sucks, and there's a reason it's been completely wiped out of all Mario Party 6 discussions. It's got 5 whole mini-games, the Caller Challenge from Survivor, and a game show, which I can actually get down with, except it stops halfway in before you even get into the hard stuff. Like, what the hell, man? And another mode that takes the piss is solo mode. In the last 3 games, if you're by yourself, they took care of you. There were lengthy modes where you unlocked a board and collected knickknacks and fought a final boss, and it was great, and Mario Party 6 decided to not do any of that. Instead, you can walk 15 spaces and watch Yoshi die. So this is literally a single player Mario Party where you roll a dice and play a minigame every turn, with the goal being to land on the last space to win. And I don't like it that much. If you lose, you wasted your time, and if you win, it was because the game gave you a sluggish room. The only reason anybody should bother coming here is because it's the quickest way to farm stars. Otherwise, just play a normal game board. And that's gonna cover it for Mario Party 6. It kinda sucks that we ended with all this negativity, but I hope all the positives from the game boards and minigames left a deeper impression. You look back at the last 5 games, and each one has some kind of flaw, like bad boards, or weak minigames, or a missing feature, or item, or something that sticks out, and I feel pretty comfortable saying Mario Party 6 is the shortest nail. Like, the only real critique I ever see people make is that they don't like how the bonus stars were changed, which is something I've never cared about, because I think just playing a round of Mario Party with people I love is a gift in itself. I don't care who wins or how well I do, I just want to have a good time, and the rest of Mario Party 6 provides that. Easily. It's the fanbase's favorite game, and I'd go as far as to say it's not even close. People just love this game. The gimmick, the boards, the meta. It gets talked about so much and so vivaciously that you almost forget that 6 is the worst selling console Mario Party to date. And for my closing thoughts, all I want to say is that Mario Party 7 is better. Mario Party 7 is the best Mario Party. It's an objective fact. If you disagree, stay mad. 7 takes everything that was good about Mario Party 6, polishes it up, and adds some of the best boards and minigames the series has ever seen, along with many other extras. It also adds some new problems, but we'll get there. Mario Party 7 to me is the greatest party game ever made. I got 7 with my Gamecube in 2005, and to this day, it is still my multiplayer game of choice. It has the perfect ensemble of short and long content that, no matter the occasion, there's a reason to boot this up. In terms of Mario Parties, 2 and 3 have a special place in my heart and define my childhood, but 7 is the evolution, continuation, the replacement. When I play video games with my sister, cousins, and friends, this is where we start. Mario Party 7 is an interesting game for me to reflect on because I could tear this game apart, but I could also sing its praises. It is incredibly imperfect, but its strengths are some of the franchise's highest peaks. I remember in my early days browsing online, 7 was widely disliked because everyone was fatigued by the franchise. It wasn't Mario Party 7. It was the 7th Mario Party, and since then, the game's definitely gained a cult following, but man does it get so much criticism. This is one of the most nitpicked games out there. Its faults are blown completely out of proportion to the point that 7's reputation is 6's shadow. But I think 7 shines brighter, and today, I'll explain why. Mario Party 7's story is that the crew goes on vacation without Bowser, and he is pissed. When will you learn that your actions have consequences? Since Mario Party 1, Bowser's lost a lot of his influence, and 7's here to remind us he's still got that bag. The day-night gimmick from 6 is gone, and instead we have Bowser time. Every 5 turns, Bowser appears, and a variety of events can happen. He'll open a Walmart, cause an earthquake. This guy really fucking hates bridges. Sometimes he'll steal a star and put it back into play, or take a souvenir photo to make a few bucks. It adds a unique twist to the game where your strategy can change as a result of his meddling, and thankfully it never reaches the point of being too obtrusive. Beyond that, Mario Party 7 is a balance patch type of sequel. It makes slight tweaks everywhere, but does just enough to give the game an identity. Following in the spirit of Bowser, he got full custody of his space back from Donkey Kong, and every time you land here, a minigame is played. Expect these to show up a lot, and this opens up the discussion to the first critique of 7. This is one of the longest Mario Parties to complete a full game in. There's a lot of things going into this, and I'll be bouncing in and out of the subject, but regarding the Bowser spaces, playing so many extra minigames and now making players watch their opponents play extra minigames can be frustrating for those who just want the game to continue. Every Mario Party has the issue of padded time, but 7 gets the brunt of it. You know, if there's one thing I've learned from the Mario Party fanbase, it's that they hate playing Mario Party. Donkey Kong also got these changes. If you land on his space, you will play a minigame. Both characters will give or take coins, and their single player games have the chance to award or steal a star. And for the classic Bowser events like switching items, warping players, and starting revolutions, the new Koopa Kid space fills that role. Another space with big changes are duels, and I think this is 7's biggest misdemeanor. The rules have always been that people wagered coins or stars before starting a duel, and 7 got rid of that. This time, there is no wagering. The minigame plays, and afterwards, the winner spins a wheel to determine their prize. 10 coins, half of them, all of them, 1 star, 2, or nothing. It's possible everyone just wasted their time, but if I could defend this decision, the blind duel is a good idea in concept. In my circles, some people are too scared of losing that they only wager 1 coin, which effectively makes the duel just as meaningless. With this method, the stakes are always high because now you gotta play like everything's on the line every time, and the excitement of seeing a 2-star, all coins or nothing at a critical moment exceeds the hype from the traditional rules. What ruins it though is the lack of choice. If your win condition was to steal a star or take someone's money, it's tough shit. Here's nothing. So in the end, yeah, the duel mechanics are worse. A couple other absences are chance time, and Pink Boo is now an orb. On the topic of orbs, there's actually quite a lot. A few cuts were made with the removal of Bullet Bill, Klepto, Paratroopa, Warp Pipe, and Bob-omb. This one I don't mind. No Warp Pipe sucks, and Paratroopa had a lot of potential, but these are, in my opinion, some of 6's worst orbs, and by removing them, more better items will be in play more often. As for new orbs, Pink Boo steals steal stars from anyone who lands on them. Warp Pipe became a trap that kind of acts like Bob-omb. Some boards have their own orbs I'll get into later, and there's a couple adjustments like Kamek got buffed and Snack and Zap got nerfed. The real highlight are the new character-specific orbs. Mario Party took a page from Mario Kart Double Dash and gave pairs of characters their own unique items. And what do you know? People really hate this. Mario Party 7 is the first Mario Party to have a tier list. Wait till they find out about every other Mario spinoff. Yeah, how come Mario Kart gets a pass for having one viable character, while Mario Party 7 is treated like a pissed on a couch at the Christmas party for having optional items? And what really grinds my gears about this is another big change in 7 is the restructuring of bonus stars. 3 more were added, and of the 6, 3 are randomly awarded. And I can't believe how often I see people hate this and hate the character-specific orbs. Imagine wanting to win Mario Party at a competitive level or something, and refusing to pick a high tier. And if you're a casual, why do you even care? This is the most nothing burger set of complaints I have ever seen. And I can sympathize with people upset their favorite character got a shitty orb, but don't act like the game's integrity is ruined because of it. Chances are they won't even affect the results, and that's because most of them are garbage. Mario & Luigi's Fireball gives them a bullet bill for 3 turns, Peach and Daisy's Flower is a metal mushroom that gives them 3 coins for every space traveled, Yoshi and Burrow's Egg lets them remove spaces off the board and add them to their inventory, Wario and Luigi's Vacuum can steal 1 coin from every player for a net negative investment, Toad and Toadette get mushrooms for 3 turns, and Boo and Drybone's Magic Rod gives them a metal mushroom that doubles their roll for 2 turns. So Toad and Toadette are obviously the best, and Boo and Drybones aren't far off. Man, if only there was counterplay. Everything else is incredibly situational or can be squandered with bad RNG, and I can't believe people are butthurt over this. Something that actually sucks is 7's integration of the microphone. This can be used during boards, and it got a brand new space where players can double their coins in the easiest memory game ever conceived. It is so overpowered, time-consuming, and dull that every other complaint seems tame in comparison. Luckily, you can turn it off, but a cutscene still plays to tell you you're broke. And you know what? That's okay. What I hate about it is that there's 10 minigames locked behind this thing. I'll save them for the minigame section, but Mario Party 7 has a free-for-all drought, and I like to think this is why. Fun fact, if you want to see this game's credits, you need to use the microphone. The last edition to cover is the best of the bunch, and that's because 8 people can play Mario Party 7 together. Even though the Gamecube only has 4 ports, 2 players can sit really close to each other and split the joysticks and triggers. I imagine you'll hear a, "Why is your hand so sweaty?" at least once in the group. So I've never actually played with more than 4 people, but what we like to do is control both characters ourselves. So that's a small twist on the game boards, and you get access to 12 more minigames. So it's something I'll occasionally mix into the rotation. I'd love to see 8-player return in a future installment and not just be limited to teams. There is so much potential for minigames and chaos, I just gotta see how they do it. But those are 7's changes, and I know it's not looking good for the best party game ever, since a lot of its additions include controversial gimmicks and removing content. But the core game here is still really solid, and with its all-star selection of game boards, 7 is a treasure trove of entertainment. Following the story's vacation theme, every map is inspired by countries around the world: Italy, China, Egypt, America, the Netherlands, and hell, which is a pretty cool diversion, and they squeeze lots of culture from these locations with their architecture, landscapes, clothing, and music. This game makes you feel like you've been to hell, and once again, every board has its own unique rules, giving the game more longevity with its variety. Grand Canal is the classic style board. Stars are 20 coins, and it warps when it's purchased. Since the removal of skeleton keys and Boo, the normal rules board archetype has had a bit of an identity crisis, making dynamic maps with fewer meaningful path splits that don't rely on orbs to force those decisions. And I think Grand Canal is the closest to figuring out a solution. Every junction has something of value behind it, whether it's a shop or a happening space. And while it's really hard to land on any given one, Grand Canals are so good, they'll make you consider the gamble. Something new to 7 is the inclusion of happening spaces that reward stars, and on this board, the Outer Ring has one with a Tricky Cup memory game. It's not a terrible strategy to hoard a sluggish room for this, but on the way there, the Tilted Tower of Pisa may send you back to start. Spaces on the left and right let you ride a gondola to each other while collecting some coins, and if you need a fast pass to anywhere but the center, the bridge in the middle can do that. The last happening space also gives money and stars, but its placement is in the only questionably designed part of the board. At the first junction, the shorter path has a shop, making the other way pretty useless. This is a map where Bowser can open a quick trip, which would, in theory, make you decide between taking the toll or making a detour, but the difference is one space, and if you visit Bowser, you reset the shop for your opponents while getting none of the benefits till later. There just isn't enough incentive to go here outside of incredibly specific scenarios, like when Bowser breaks the bridges and replaces them with his spaces, which also floods this corner. It's the part of the map you'll see the most, and it's a little distracting how bottlenecked it can become. Pagoda Peak is Pagoda Peak. This is the series' greatest board, and the irony is it does everything I should hate. The map is a straight line, which means you're always at the mercy of the dice, but with orbs in play, this place transforms. You'll reach a point where every turn, everyone's losing coins. It's the nightmare version of Peach's birthday cake, and I can't get enough of it. My playtime of game boards with my sister and cousin saw a steep decline in the Gamecube era, but Pagoda Peak managed to draw us back in. After Mystery Land and Mario Party 2, this is my most played board. Do you understand why I'm fucked in the head yet? So the rules of Pagoda Peak are simple. Get to the end, buy a star, and after every purchase, its price cycles between 10, 20, 30, and 40 coins. Need a homie discount or market inflation? Go ahead and ring a gong. Want to climb up fast and avoid some traps? Tie yourself to a firework and pray for the best. The board's exclusive Cannon Orb can give a short boost, while the Bob-omb pushes your friends off a cliff, and resting at the top is a dragon that will launch anyone it eats back to start. It's a deceptive board despite its linear design. Rolling high is well and good, but if you don't have enough coins for a star, the trek was all for naught. In the middle is a dojo with 3 dual spaces you can expect to see often, which further increases the shifting of coins, and when Bowser appears, you can't avoid a shop, and if he breaks that bridge, that's the end of your turn. He can also clap his ass cheeks so hard that everyone loses their balance, and some of the other events include putting out a fire and dodging logs in a waterfall. This board always has something going on. It's a map you can't put into any other Mario Party and expect to be as good. All those odd changes 7 made to the rules clash together in a way that turns Pagoda Peak into an all-time classic. Being the superstar of Mario Party among my sister and cousins, something they will never let me forget is the time I finally lost a game on Pagoda Peak. God, they rubbed it in and laughed at my face so much, I started crying, and our grandma took me to the gas station and bought me a ring pop to make me feel better. Those were the best days of my life. Pyramid Park is the perfect evolution of Snowflake Lake. That board had a 2-layer design where you'd use the outside to hunt and the inside to hide. Pyramid Park said no hiding pussies, nowhere is safe, so planning ahead and positioning wisely are important now more than ever. If you play too aggressively, you'll leave yourself open, but if you act too defensively, you'll never earn stars. The map is divided into 2 different sides. On the right, there's 3 huts offering 1 die for 10 and 2 for 20, and the left has only 1 selling buy 1 get 2 free. Connecting these islands together are bridges that Bowser may destroy, locking players in for a few turns of the pressure cooker, and controversially, he can also steal stars and throw them on the board. Another way to switch sides are the sandpits on the edge. The coin collecting games include Whack-a-Snake and Swimming in an Oasis, and there actually is a path of safety, but it comes with a steep price. Behind the swamp are 5 spaces the dogs can't touch, but it's in the most inconvenient location, and you give up the opportunity to use the 3-for-1 shop to go here. It also has the Bowser Sphinx, which can flip-flop the game by splitting everyone's coins, switching red and blue spaces, or cutting down the price to steal a star. So in reality, there's only 4 safe spaces. Neon Heights is the return of Mario Party 3's Spiny Desert, and it's so much better. Mirage Stars are back, and with a twist. Across the board are 3 treasure chests that have either a star, a refund, or a bomb that sends the buyer back to start. By having 3 gums to follow, there's less competition over any individual one. If you're second or third in line, you can take another path. Maybe that one has a star. And the board's design has several of these junctions to let you make those decisions. That was my problem with Spiny Desert. The gimmicks were more to get you ahead or behind each other instead of getting you around. There's also opportunities to earn stars with this matching game and Flying to the Moon. A shooting range and Dinger Derby Jr. offer free coins and make the game 10 minutes longer. Aliens can relocate chests if they're out of your way, and the Lakitu Orb hoists one into your way. When Bowser appears, hope you're not first, he can steal coins or stars from players and throw them in a chest, and if he's feeling real nice, he'll put a star into play. It's an exciting game of gambling. Playing this board, you want to have good luck, but at the same time, you don't want too much luck. Windmillville's a new game style. Mario meets Monopoly. Around the board are windmills that players can invest in, and whoever holds the most stake is the owner of its star. You can either stretch yourself thin and put coins everywhere, so there's always an opportunity to take over a windmill, or you can save up your money bags and dump them into one. Both strategies work, but Bowser may say otherwise. He'll loot coins and sometimes take it all, and the Bandit Orb will even let players steal from each other. The most interesting quirk to this board is its alternating path splits. Windmills worth more stars are locked behind these, and playing around them can be pretty difficult. In the center is a 3-star windmill every 4th player can access, and if you want to guarantee you'll see some of these, the flower glider will randomly bring you to one. For other happening spaces, sheep can be heard in the rarest event ever, and coins can be collected with a leaf trampoline. It's one of those maps where coins have more value. The price of a star is whatever you make it. Maybe you overbid, maybe someone snipes you at the last second possible. It's an inventive style board that I'd love to see developed further. Bowser's Enchanted Inferno is the obligatory island hopper, and they did such a good job here. The islands don't follow any set order, so if you want to leave the one you're on, do it. There's 2-way path splits dividing them all, so entrances and exits are one and the same. This is the most free an island hopper's ever been. They even have cannons to launch you across the map. Enchanted Inferno is a classic style board, but the twist is that during Bowser time, the island with the star is sunk into the lava. Like Bowser Land from Mario Party 2, it puts players on a timer to collect stars fast or to stay the hell away, because a dip in the drink costs half of your coins. What also makes this unique is that's the only Bowser event, and it makes me wonder how the other maps could work if they were designed with the same level of consistency. For happening spaces, every island has one. North contains a sumo game, East brings back the flamethrower, South has a guessing game, and West built a roller coaster. And just for shits and giggles, 2 more spaces can relocate the star. As I said before, this is the greatest selection of game boards the series has ever seen. I love the variety of rule sets and random board events. They may put out the time it takes to finish a round, but with them, I am always invested in the results. Every other Mario Party has at least one map I don't like to pick, or rarely ever visit, or the quality of their best ones just aren't as high as these. And despite all of 7's changes, they do nothing to tarnish the quality of its boards. Mario Party 7 revived the story mode, in quotations, and it's definitely a mode. This is a 2-player game where the goal is to complete objectives faster, like buying 2 stars or fixing 3 windmills. I've only played through this one other time, and that's because it takes no skill. On Grand Canal, players race to collect 2 stars, but the reality is that the first person to get a star will likely win the game, because they'll be closer to the next one. That was the case in my playthrough. I missed the first star, was dead in the water, then God himself worked with me hand in hand by bestowing a flutter orb into my inventory and giving me the win. So I definitely earned that one. Pyramid Park is pretty similar. There's only 1 star in play, and the goal is to bring it to the Sphinx. But the map isn't exactly designed for a game of 2-player back and forth, so whoever gets the star first will have no opposition. Neon Heights and Windmillville follow suit, except there's a chance you may run out of coins, but this mode also hands them out so much, it rarely becomes a problem. On the bright side, Pagoda Peak was fantastic. Whoever can reach the summit with 100 coins first wins, and that's the key difference. Coins can be spent or lost, so more thought has to be put into if or when you use them. Orbs are more relevant because you're retreading spaces. It's the only board where you have to plan ahead, and it made me realize the dual space was changed for this mode. By limiting the opportunity for someone to go broke, the game and its limited structure is a lot more healthy. Bowser's Enchanted Inferno sucks. Collect a star to fight Bowser. As a final boss minigame, Bowser's Lovely Lift is a hardest steel dodge'em where one hit's a game over. But in this mode, your progress gets saved, so there's a really good chance the first player will lose 3/4 in, just for player 2 to scoop up the win without any effort. And then the ending to this mode is ripped straight from Mario Sunshine. Even the part where Koopa Kid says, "Someday, when I'm bigger, I wanna fight that boo again." Koopa Kid was shot 1 day later. Alright, let's finally dig into these minigames. Mario Party 7 has a banger of a collection, and that's quite an accomplishment because Bowser, Donkey Kong 8-player, and the microphone eat up from the total. There's only 13 free-for-alls, but they made sure we got the cream of the crop. Track and Yield and Take Me Home display the game's unbelievably tight 3D controls. There is no other game I've played that's as fun to jump as this one. Someone needs to make a mod that's just a whole Mario adventure with 120 stars. That's how good it feels. Fun Run uses them to a lesser effect, correct, Snowride and Cartwheels are great racers with tight and responsive controls. Picture This and Catchy Tunes are a blast to play with friends. All of them are just fantastic iterations of their genres, besides Cointagious, which is really lazy. But if there has to be a luck game, I'd prefer it as the coin one. Let's spend 5 minutes talking about Poke Pummel. Poke Pummel is kind of the hypest minigame in the Mario Party series. When it shows up, everyone's gotta lock in. They're cracking their knuckles, twisting the controller. I've never played any other game where people need to sit on the floor. Growing up with Mario Party, I played every minigame so much, I knew them all inside and out. I was an unstoppable force, and my sister and cousins could never beat me. Unless it was a button masher. These were my kryptonite. My technique sucked, my wrist was limp. No matter what I do, I was the slowest masher in the group by a wide margin. And I think my inability to win is what caused Poke Pummel to become one of the all-time greats. Mario Party has seen its fair share of button mashers over the years, but they all vary slightly in the buttons you press, the time limit, and how many times the button needs to be pressed. Poke Pummel is the ideal combination of these variables. The big-ass green button, 65 presses. Long enough to test your skills, but short enough you won't get fatigued. It's the perfect length to replay a dozen times, and the reason we'd replay Poke Pummel is for the record. When I was 8, I'd typically score 13 seconds, maybe 12 on a good day. I can't even comprehend being that slow. I remember opening up the staff record menu and thinking the fastest possible time was 6 or 7 seconds, and then being blown away 3:46 was even possible. Since then, I've been grinding to improve at the game, and a decade later, 8 seconds became my best. But I was still a little slower than my oldest cousin was when she was that age. A bit more training, and I could reclaim the record on my memory card. And then, out of nowhere, the Poke Pummel record became a trophy between two strangers. My best friend and my brother-in-law. In 2017, I was playing Mario Party 7 with my buddy, and when Poke Pummel showed up, he knocked the time down to a 6:41, about a second quicker than the record. I mentioned it to my sister and brother-in-law like it was this legendary feat, and then he became really interested in the game, effortlessly dropping it to a sub-6. I sent my friend a picture, and a rivalry began. Over the next few months, they traded the crown, taking turns lowering it a few more frames. And when the dust settled, they were tied at 5:35. Watching the two of them, I knew sub 5 was possible. Frequently a run would be on pace, but every time they'd burn out too fast, and their energy faded after the first 3 seconds. There would be days of attempts with no progress made, and I started to doubt if either of them could do it. But after a month of grinding, this happened. Ooh. My buddy got a 5:01, just a hair above sub 5, a time that would tease him for years. He and my brother-in-law continued to make a push, but neither could improve. And as of 2021, that's where the record stood. Until the Donkey Konga 3 incident. So I import Gamecube games from Japan, and an important thing to know about that is some imports will format your memory card. I've always been careful about this and use a backup card for these games, but when I got Donkey Konga 3 in the mail and put it in my Gamecube to test it, I forgot to remove my memory card, and in the blink of an eye, my entire childhood was erased, including the Poke Pummel record. Fortunately, in 2017, I backed up my files on the import cards, so the Poke Pummel time was back at 6:41. And with the record up for grabs again, breaking sub 5 was more important than it's ever been. I called some friends over and put up a bounty. $5 to beat 520, $20 for 5:01 or better. We gave our all for an hour, and by the end, we were tired, sweaty, and overcome by the realization that our 23-year-old bodies were too old to button mash. The best we could get was 5:18. So far away from 5:01, it didn't seem obtainable anymore. But the discovery of a new technique gave me hope. Slide mashing. By wrapping your finger in cloth, its surface becomes smooth enough to slide over the A button without ever lifting your hand. This method redefines the condition to complete a button press, and I believed it was the key to finally breaking the record. but every attempt of slide mashing was met with a hiccup or mistake that stopped us from saving any time. Another year passed and the record was still untouched, and I was fed up with it. Hanging out with my best friend one day, I wanted to give slide mashing one more chance, but I decided we should warm up our hands with Super Smash Bros. First. When the time was right, I pulled out the Gamecube and put in Mario Party 7. This would be the last attempt. If we didn't break the record today, it would be time to close the book on Pokepummel and reclaiming 501. I loaded up the minigame, and then something unbelievable happened. On the first try, I didn't just break the record, I destroyed it, nearly a whole second quicker. I, the slowest button masher, reclaimed the record for the first time in 17 years. Slide mashing, as I predicted, was the secret to breaking sub 5. I no longer had to live knowing I deleted the 501, and my friend could finally rest knowing his lost time was defeated. Pokepummel was beat. And 423 is where the record sits today.
Go! Finish!
What the fuck? So returning to the minigames, the 2 vs 2s are also the best on the GameCube. Spider Stomp's a cool take on the shmup, Sphere Factory and Battery Ram are sweet new ideas for racing games, Bus Storm makes me always want a perfect time, and Trial and Error is a simplified Splatoon. 1 vs 3 also clears everything on the GameCube, maybe even the whole series, not that that's hard to do, but I really enjoy the mind games of Balloonatic and the precision required in Pogo a Go-Go. Think Tank's a snappier version of 5's Mario Mech, Splinter Cell uses the C-Stick creatively, Spray Anything's one of the most fair feeling 3 ganging up on 1 games, and Easy Pickings is one of my favorite luck games. The battle minigames are fine, Helipopper carries, and Deckhand sucks, but none of them really scream battle minigame. The duels are great though. Camp Yukiki and Apes of Wrath let you dick around with the 3D controls, Give Me a Sign and Bridge Work are fun last man standing, Spin Doctor's a race of keen observation, Hip Hop Drop tests your reflexes, Warpipe Dream's another good luck game. I'll admit this isn't one of my favorite selections, but what we got is still very good. And getting into the other types of games, the microphone isn't as bad as you'd think, but the necessity to make everyone take turns can leave a sour experience. I think Dart Attack and Oil Crisis are fun additions, Clock Watchers and Balloon Busters can definitely command an audience, and Mathemortician exists. The 1 vs 3s are more on the meh side. All 5 of them are the same type of dodging games, so they blend together too much. But if I had to pick a favorite, it has to be Stratosphere. This game could work without the microphone, and looking at it's always made me wonder what a Mario game in the Mushroom Kingdom would be like on the GameCube. Donkey Kong and Bowser are the most hit or miss. Donkey Kong is a stupid, dumb ape, so he's super easy to beat. But I've always wanted Jumpman to get a longer 4-player cut. Bowser's single-player games are just as underwhelming, but his free-for-alls are some of my favorites in the series. These are just straight-up Mario levels disguised as minigames, so I actually really look forward to landing on a space. You have to earn your right to keep your coins, and I love that. Over the years, it's been fun watching my sister, who doesn't play too many platformers, start to clear these games. I really appreciate their inclusion, and the last of the bunch are the 8-player games. And even though the 8-player mode is team-based, there's a mix of co-op and free-for-alls in here. Bumper to Bumper is the best iteration of Bumper Balls, Give Me a Break is what Wario's Bluff on Mario Party E wishes it could be, and it has weather physics. Random Bart's the new hot rope jump, Shock Absorber's the ultimate Shy Guy Says, Rope-a-Dope and Real Smoothie are perfect when you're controlling both characters, and really the only dud is Ducked and Cover because it expects teams to put 4 hands on 1 controller. I kind of want to try this the way you're intended to. It seems so awkward to think about, but those are the minigames, and like I said, this is an incredible collection. Not as good as 2 or 3, but 7 makes a statement. With hundreds of minigames to compete against, 7 innovates on a lot of ideas we've already seen, and creates better versions that feel completely original while also making space for several gimmicks. It has quality, and quantity, making 7 a very easy game to want to revisit. And it also has the best side mode in any video game ever. I've talked a big game about the decathlons in Mario Party 5 and 6, but neither of them touch the sheer enjoyment I get from 7's Decathlon Castle. I'm not gonna lie, if Mario Party 7 was just the Decathlon Castle, it would still be my favorite Mario Party. There's a possibility I've played this mode more than I played Mario Party 3 with my cousins, and we're talking over like at least 50 hours. It is that fucking good, and it wasn't uncommon for us to spend a whole afternoon playing this over and over and over again. You get Poke Pummel, Fun Run, Take Me Home, Track and Yield, Snow Ride, Cartwheel, Target Tag, Air Farce, Helipopper, and Monty's Revenge. So many god tier games are in this pool, and with the decathlon allowing everyone to finish the mini games and extending the timer on Track and Yield and Take Me Home, you have one of the most replayable party games ever made. I haven't taken this mode too seriously to make a world record attempt or anything, but against humans and brutal computers, my personal best is 8,285, with a sum of best scores passing 9,000. I imagine with scores I lost from the Donkey Kong 3 incident, it would be even higher, and if I were to go try hard and use 3 unmanned controllers to get perfect on some games, I may be looking at a 9,500. You'll notice Yoshi's in the top 10. I actually didn't main Boo when I first got the game. From day one, I was Yoshi's strongest soldier, and I shit you not, the reason I stopped using him is because Birdo joined this game. And my cousin who's picked Mario the past 6 games switched to her and noticed Birdo wears a ring and said some comment about her being married to Yoshi. And my base 9-year-old ass said we are single. And that's why Boo is my favorite character now. And before I get into the next mode, let's talk about some random shit. Mario Party 7 has the loudest title screen in any video game. Every time I play this, I usually keep the remote close to drop the volume when it starts. I made my file in the 3rd slot, which I regret to this day, and 7 added the controller buttons to its keyboard, and gee, my name is Ryan, so I had to use the R, Y, and A emojis. Nintendo, can you please make an N button? And the coolest little tidbit about this game, and it's something I didn't even notice for the longest time, but Mario Party 7 is the first Mario Party after Super Mario 64 DS released, so a lot of enemies got redesigns. Thwomp, Monty Mole, Pokey, Mr. Blizzard, Piranha Plant, Amp, they redesigned Dry Bones and said, this shit's clean as fuck. Put that motherfucker in Mario Party and make sure he's the best character in the game. Alright, so Mario Party 7 revived the minigame Island, the greatest single player mode in the series. And I don't like what they did. King of the River is an unorganized gauntlet of 30 random minigames, with the goal being to clear them all without running out of health. You'll start with 3 lives, and losing any lets you skip the run back in exchange for giving a temple guard a pendant of life. And that's the thing I hate. If I lose a minigame, I want to try it again. I want to earn my win and get to say I did it without any handicaps. As for the other random modes, I don't have much to say because they're never in the mix. So that's going to wrap it up for Mario Party 7, the greatest party game of all time. Like I said in the beginning, this game is imperfect. It makes a lot of questionable decisions, and its gimmicks pad out time. But none of that matters when the core parts of the experience are bursting with quality. 7 has the series' best boards and a stellar set of minigames that I found way more enjoyment playing this game than I have with every other entry. And nostalgia obviously plays a key role. Visiting my grandma during summer breaks and playing video games with my sister and cousins, for those first few years, I was bringing a Nintendo 64 with an assortment of party games like the Mario Parties, Pokemon Stadiums, Banjo-Tooie, and more. And when I got a Gamecube with Mario Party 7, that was all we needed. This one game, with help from 6 and 5, were enough to exonerate the Nintendo 64 from rotation. And from 2006 to 2012, those were our games of choice. And since then, we haven't played it again. My cousins grew up and stopped going to grandma's, and for years, I denied that reality. I'd still show up and pack 4 controllers, hoping for one more game of Decathlon Castle or Pagoda Peak. But they never came. The party was over, and every Mario Party to follow has been lonely. A party of 1, 2, maybe 3, but never full capacity. Mario Party 7 is not only the last GameCube Mario Party, but an allegory of my life. I cling to it relentlessly and defend all its flaws. Like it's my childhood, an idyllic straw man to a restless spirit, the end of a generation. The lens I view this game is one unique to only me. Nobody else will see it the way I do. The sentiments, emotions, everything I felt is part of this game's identity. It embodies more than the 7th Mario Party than any of you will understand. That's why I think Mario Party 7 is the greatest party game ever made. Thanks for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave a like to help the channel grow, and subscribe to get updates on my uploads as soon as they happen. But until then, I will see you all next time.